Yamaha make a lot of different audio mixers. In this video, we're going to compare two very similar looking audio mixers, the Yamaha MG06X and the Yamaha AG06 MK2. Even though these two look very similar, they're very, very different, both in terms of features and how I would use them. In this video, we're going to walk through both of these devices completely so you understand what they're both capable of, and then I'm going to talk about which one of these I'd recommend for live sound, live streaming, or home studio recording. Now, first of all, there is a pretty big price difference between these two. I'm going to put links down in the description below. The pricing does change depending on where you live, and it changes over time and all that. So if you want current up-to-date pricing from a variety of online retailers, I have links down in the description below. Next, let's walk through the Yamaha MG06X, and then I'll walk through the AG06 MK2 to talk about all the differences. It doesn't make too much sense to go back and forth because these are very, very different. So in the Yamaha MG06X, let's start up at the inputs. We have two combination jack inputs. As we come down, each of these combination jack inputs have a pad and a high pass filter. That's a great feature. Then you get a preamp with 64 dB of gain. You get a 2-band EQ. You can patch in the effects. So the effects engine has two sides. You can only use one at a time. You can choose either a reverb or a delay. And depending on what you choose, you have three options. On the reverb side, you have hall room plate. On the delay side, you have short, long echo. Then you have the stereo pan button here. This allows you to pan input 1 to the left, input 2 to the right, if you are connecting a stereo source into the first two channels, or if you're trying to do some type of recording if you're connecting to an external recorder. Beside your two microphone inputs, you get two stereo line level inputs. So a lot of people are confused about this. Why do they call it a 6-channel mixer? You get two microphones and two stereo inputs. Each one of those stereo inputs has a left and a right. So if you add those up, you get 4 plus the two microphones is 6. Next, for the outputs of this, you get your effects return, your headphone volume, and your main stereo output. Up here for the connectivity, you can see that you have balanced 1/4-inch TRS outputs, XLR outputs, and a headphone output. To sum up the Yamaha MG06, I'd say it's a small, compact audio mixer that will eat everything that will fit in it. Two microphones and two line level sources here that are stereo, which is great if you're a DJ, you're doing home karaoke, anything like that. Now, I do just want to say the big disadvantage of this audio mixer is it has no USB connectivity. So if you're wanting to record or anything like that, you need to go from your stereo outputs into an external recorder. With all that in mind, let's take a quick look at the AG06 MK2. So starting at the inputs, we see similarities, but a lot of differences here. Two XLR combination jack inputs, which is great. One of them, you can switch from line level to mic level. So on the MG06, we have a pad, which does the same thing. Then, as we go down, we have phantom power. There's phantom power on the MG06 as well. Then you can see that the processing is quite a bit different. This is using an onboard DSP that you can configure if you connect this to your computer. Now, that can just be a one-time configuration. It saves onto the audio mixer once you do it. But then you get compression, EQ, reverb. You get a mute button on this audio mixer as well. So right there, there's a lot more processing that you can do and shaping of the microphone or your input that you can do on the AG06 that you can't do on the MG06. Now, channel 2 on this audio mixer is a little bit different. It's more optimized for a singer-songwriter. So you get a guitar button, which will change the impedance to impedance match, magnetic pickups from an acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass guitar, anything like that. And then you do get a line level switch as well. So on this channel here, you have the ability to connect an instrument, a line level input, or a microphone. Where on the MG06, you can't connect an instrument without a DI box. There's no impedance matching like this has on channel 2. As we move down the channel strip, you can see here that there's an amp simulator on this channel and a reverb. So you can see that this is really geared towards a singer-songwriter. Then you get a mute button as well. One other thing I want to touch on these channel strips here is on the MG06, the preamps have 64 dB of gain. On the AG06, you have 60 dB of gain. So it is 4 dB less. Your microphone and preamps aren't as powerful. Then for your stereo inputs, we get more options as well. One of them is 1/4 inch, one of them is RCA, And you get a high or low gain button. So if you're pumping something in there with a big line level signal, you can choose to choke it, or if you have a quieter signal, then you can let it know and it'll boost it up a little bit more for you. You get the volume control for those inputs down at the bottom here. Now we see this other volume knob here, and this is really cool. You have the option here to connect your audio mixer to a USB device, so a laptop or computer, and you can bring that level in. This works really well if you're streaming a game or something like that. Or you can use the TRS input, so you can connect to your phone, again, if you're streaming. Now this TRS actually is a TRRS, which means that you can actually output sound to your phone as well. So not only can you do music playback or bring in a chat or something like that from your phone, but you can also send them a copy of what's happening on your audio mixer. Same through the USB port, and you can control both with this volume knob here. The other thing I want to touch on the inputs here is for channel 1, you have the option of putting in a 3.5 millimeter headset jack. So if you don't have an XLR microphone, you can just connect your headset here. Using the headphone jack here, as we start to talk about the outputs, you can connect to the headphone jack here or here. So if you're using a headset here, and if you're using a professional set of headphones, you can connect up here, 3.5 millimeter or 6.5 millimeter, whatever works best for you. Now on the outputs here, we see quite a bit of a difference. Let's start up at the connectivity. So there is connectivity for stereo output, your main stereo mix. Then you get studio monitors, and then you get headphones. Now, if you notice down in the control area, there's no overall master volume for the main stereo output like we have on the MG06. We get a volume control for our studio monitors and a volume control for our headphones, but there's no overall master volume for your main stereo output. For that, you'd have to rely on these level knobs just to set your overall mix, but you can't control the master volume of your whole mix. So as we can see here, this is really suited more towards being on your desk with studio monitors and headphones with how the outputs are all routed and set up. But you can fake it if you end up in a live sound environment and you need to connect this to powered speakers for whatever reason. Now, the other thing that this has, I'm just going to talk about these USB modes on this. Obviously, the AG06 has USB when the MG06 doesn't. You also get these USB modes, so you can choose between recording your dry channel, no effects, on channels 1 and 2, or your input mix, which is everything on your audio mixer, or your loopback, which is everything on your audio mixer, including what's coming from your TRRS or your 1/4 inch or your USB input on the back of the audio mixer. So when we compare both of these, what's my actual recommendation here? I'd say if you're in a live sound environment, the MG06X is a way better audio mixer. It's faster for what you're trying to do. The EQ changes are faster. It's really easy to set up, really easy to connect things, and you get better control over your main stereo output. Now, if you're into live streaming or you want this on your desk for online meetings or conferences or live streams or anything like that, the AG06 is clearly a better audio mixer for that. You can set up and fine tune your microphone that you're using every day. Once it's set, you can choose to turn on the compression, EQ, effects, whatever you have set up, but it's all saved and it's all made for you. It's a little bit slower to set up, but it's all saved and built for you. Then you get all the USB connectivity, all the different inputs here. You get a lot more options. This is way more desk friendly. I know for me, I have my microphone, my ham radio, and my record player all into this. It's all connected to my studio monitors and my headphones, so I can easily switch between my studio monitors and my headphones using these volume knobs here, depending on what I'm wanting to do. It's really fast, easy to use in that environment. Now, what about if you're doing home recording? Again, I think the AG06 is the winner here. You can set up and fine tune your two microphone inputs. You can choose to record the dry channel pre or post process, depending on how you use these USB modes here. The loopback functionality, everything on this is built for home studio recording. More so, you get your amp sim, you get all kinds of tools in here. And again, you get more control over your studio monitor output and your headphones, and it's less concerned with overall speed like you need in a live sound environment. And it's more concerned about getting the right sound really dialed in and everything set up in your studio monitors and headphones. So for live sound, I think the MG06X is a much better audio mixer. That's what it's built for. For home studio recording and live streaming, I think the AG06, if this thing's going to live on your desk, it's an awesome audio mixer interface, and this is the one that I actually have on my desk and use every day. I hope this video has been helpful. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave a comment down below. Again, if you are looking for current up-to-date pricing or specs, we have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.